my name is Marley. I hope you are doing well today. In today's video, as you can see from the title, I'm going to be doing the TV astrology tag. So a couple weeks ago, I did the book astrology tag where there was a prompt for every single sign in the zodiac from Aries all the way to Pisces. And for each prompt, I recommended a book. And because I love TV shows, I wanted to do a similar thing with TV shows as well. So if you watched my book tag video, these prompts might sound kind of similar to you, but I'm just adjusting them to be for TV shows. If you would like some TV show recommendations, maybe you are running out of TV shows to watch during the pandemic or during quarantine, then just keep watching because I have some recommendations for you based on astrology. So the first prompt, of course, is for Aries, and this is to name a show that was full of fire, desire, and passion. And for this show, I wanted to say How I Got Away with Murder. If you don't know, How to Get Away with Murder is like a law murder mystery drama. We're following Annalise Keating, who is this really great lawyer. She defends a lot of like murderers and gets them to get away with murder because she's so good at what she does. And so she teaches this one class called How to Get Away with Murder 101. She chooses a bunch of her students to kind of mentor, and that is our main cast of characters. And so throughout the show, we are seeing different cases that they take on, which is always interesting. And then we are also each season seeing some sort of mystery where we have flash forwards to a murder that's going to happen either in like the mid-season finale or the finale that we're leading up to, and we're seeing how we got there. I think that this show is very fiery and full of passion as it does deal with murder, and normally like there's a lot of like passion behind acts of murder. There's also a lot of relationships between all the different characters. The show is created by Shonda Rhimes, so it definitely has that vibe similar to Grey's Anatomy where like all the characters end up hooking up with each other and having different relationships. So I feel like this is a good match for the fieriness of Aries. Then we have Taurus, which the prompt is to name an aesthetically pleasing TV show. So for this, I'm going to say a newer one, and that is The Queen's Gambit. This came out, I believe, this year on Netflix, and it follows this girl throughout her life who is like a chess prodigy. So she is orphaned at a pretty young age, and she's at this orphanage, and while she's there, she ends up learning how to play chess from, I believe he's the janitor. She's super amazing at it and just ends up moving up through the ranks in like the chess world, and we're really exploring her character as she deals with addiction and issues like that, or relationship issues and stuff like that. And it was such an addicting show. And the reason I say it for Taurus and being aesthetically pleasing is because there are so many chess matches that you watch her do, and I feel like the cinematography and the aesthetic of them is really nice, as they always find different ways to shoot the chess scenes when it's literally just two people sitting at a desk moving pieces and like not much else is going on, but they always find like a cool way to film those scenes to make it like aesthetically pleasing for us to watch. So that's why I wanted to mention this one. Next up is Gemini, and of course that prompt is to name a TV show that has twins in it. So for this one, I'm going to mention Legacies, which is on CW, and it is a spin-off of The Vampire Diaries and The Originals, which was another spin-off of the show. So the show follows Hope as our main character. I won't say who she is because that could be a spoiler for previous television shows, but we are seeing her as a teenager at the Salvatore boarding school, and we are also seeing some other characters who are children of some other main characters that I won't say, but some of the children are twins, Lizzie and Josie, and then we have obviously some other teenage characters that are attending the school. And basically it's about all these teenage witches, vampires, werewolves dealing with these supernatural issues, such as, you know, these random supernatural villains keep showing up and they have to sort of kill the monster each episode. It can sort of be a little bit episodic, like there's a new monster to kind of kill each episode, but it's a super fun show if you're into like supernatural fun shows. Next up we have Cancer, and this is to name a show that is a real tearjerker. And of course, you know, I have to say it's This Is Us, which I'm sure everyone knows about, and if you haven't watched it yet, I highly recommend it, especially if you want a show that's a tearjerker. Pretty much every episode, for the most part, will bring you to tears for some reason, whether it's happy or it's sad. So basically we're following the Pearson family over multiple generations. We see the parents, Rebecca and Jack, during their childhood sometimes, during their adulthood, during their marriage to each other. We see their 3 children when they're kids, when they're teenagers, and when they're adults. And of course, they also have their own families when they're adults. And there's just so many different storylines in this show between all the different characters and all the different families. And I just find it to be very, very moving. So if you like shows that really deal with those hard issues and really pack a punch and are more like set in reality, then I really would check out this show. Leo is to name a show that features really courageous characters. So I have to shout out this show that came out last year that I absolutely adored watching, and that is Stargirl. So this is a DC superhero show, and in my opinion, it's one of the best superhero shows that I have watched. It is about Stargirl, which was not a superhero I was familiar with before, but basically she's this teenage girl who has this staff that she inherits from Starman, and then she becomes Stargirl, and it's about her learning about her powers, trying to defeat the villains that are in the town, and all of her friends sort of become superheroes as well, and they become like a little crew of superheroes. I just found the writing to be really great in this show. I don't know how to describe it, but I just enjoyed it more than like any other superhero show. So I really, really recommend this one. Then we have Virgo, and this is to name a show that is pure perfection. So this is a little hard because different shows are going to be perfect to different people, but I feel like one that is pretty universally perfect for most people would be Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Of course, this is a sitcom show. Those are really popular with most people, and this one stars Andy Samberg, and it takes place at the 99 precinct. It follows a bunch of cops or like detectives in New York, and it is just hilarious. I know everyone's already heard of it, but I just really appreciate the humor in this sitcom. I know there's a lot of sitcoms that are popular with people that are a little bit more outdated, like The Office or something like that, and I just really like that this is more of a current sitcom, so I just enjoy the humor more. I feel like it's never problematic. I like that it has really diverse characters, actors, and I just find them all to be so funny together. So this is the show I'm gonna say is pure perfection. Sorry if I'm going through these too quick, but for Libra, the question is name a show that is neither good nor bad. For this one, I decided to say The Originals. As I mentioned before, it is a spin-off of The Vampire Diaries, and it comes before Legacies that I already mentioned. I was a really big fan of The Vampire Diaries, so of course I watched The Originals, but it just didn't reach that Vampire Diaries level for me. I still liked aspects of it, as it still had some of those Vampire Diaries vibes. It obviously had some of the characters from it, but it just was not as good to me. I found certain aspects to be boring. I found the characters to not be quite as interesting. As you might know, it follows the original vampires, so like the very first vampires that were made, and I just feel like there's so much that you can do with that it's a little bit hard to like put it into a show, you know? Like these people have been around for like thousands of years. The original characters themselves, a lot of people love them, but I never loved them that much. So that's why I think this show's neither good nor bad. So if you like the Vampire Diaries, definitely check it out and give it a chance, but I wouldn't blame you if you didn't want to continue watching. For Scorpio, it's name a show that was dark or mysterious. I'm just gonna throw this out there, The Haunting of Hill House. I think this is the scariest show that I've ever watched, and like the darkest / mysteriousest and most mysterious show that I have watched, just as it obviously deals with a haunted house. If you've watched some of my videos on here before, you know haunted houses are very scary to me, especially in books, but this is a show that scared me as well. I feel like there aren't a lot of haunted shows out there. There's like haunted movies or scary movies and not as many shows. So that's why I think this one was really interesting to see it in a TV show format. So if you want a show that has a haunted house, ghosts, mystery, family drama, check out Haunting of Hill House if you haven't already. For Sagittarius, it's name a show that is full of adventure. As always, I have to shout out one of my favorite shows, which is Merlin. This is a bit of an older show now, and it's a British show that is about Merlin and King Arthur and all of the like King Arthur legends. It's kind of in a format of like a Smallville type of show where it's kind of like a prequel. So like how Smallville is kind of like a prequel leading up to Clark Kent becoming Superman, Merlin is sort of like the build up to like Merlin becoming that famous magician and Arthur becoming King Arthur, as he's just a prince in the beginning, and you're seeing Merlin discover his powers, Arthur, you know, learning how to be a king and a ruler. There's magic and there's different like adventures or quests, Merlin having to protect Arthur and keep his magic a secret, and their friendship and their bromance is honestly beautiful. This is a show where like the friendship is the best relationship in the show, and it's also really funny as well. It honestly is the most perfect show, so I have to shout it out as much as possible. Capricorn's prompt is name a show that made you think. So for this one, I'm going to say Mr. Robot. If you guys don't know, this is about Elliot, and he, as you've probably seen with his typical hooded like outfit, he's like a little hacker man. He's trying to take down this like corporation that is like corrupt, right? And it's about his little crew trying to do that, but this really makes you think, as Elliot has a lot of like mental things going on. I don't know how to describe it, but there's moments where you don't know if it's reality or if it's just in his head, and the way it's shot and the way it's put together just makes you think. And I don't want to spoil anything, but there definitely are plot twists throughout the show that are very exciting. It can be boring at times, but it's one of those shows where like you have to pay attention to like the little hints throughout the show, and that's why I think it kind of like makes you think and would be good for the Capricorn prompt. For Aquarius, it's a name a show that is quirky, so of course I have to go with a show that was created by the legend Mindy Kaling, and that is Never Have I Ever, which I think came out last year. So this was a quick little romantic comedy TV show that was on Netflix, and it follows this Indian American girl who's a teenager, and so she's dealing with a lot of those typical teenager things like wanting to fit in, wanting to find herself, have a boyfriend, be popular. But it has Mindy Kaling's like iconic style of humor that I love, and it deals with of course friendship, romance. There's a bit of like a love triangle situation. It's really cute if you're into romantic comedies, I would say, and if you've maybe watched the Mindy Project and get a vibe for Mindy Kaling's humor. I really enjoyed this one. You can easily watch it in like a day, and yeah, I would say the show is quirky, so that's what I'd recommend. For the final prompt for Pisces, it is name a show that is very imaginative, and I do feel like I watch a lot of imaginative shows. Props to all of the showrunners that create these shows, but the one that I think I want to mention is The Witcher. So this is a show that I believe is based off a video game and book series, but it takes place in like this fantasy world that I think is reminiscent of like Lord of the Rings or like all those other types of fantasy things like Game of Thrones and stuff like that. And I just find all of those types of worlds to be very imaginative and very interesting. So this was just like one I watched recently, I think last year, so I thought I would mention it if you are into those high fantasy plots. We follow Geralt. I always mess up how you say his name. Geralt, I don't know. He is a witcher, which honestly after one season of the show, I can't even confidently say what a witcher is, but basically they like kill monsters and they're like immortal and have some sort of power. And then we are also following a few other characters and across like many years. Ciri is another character we're following, and Yennefer is like a witch that we're following. So if you're into like magical fantasy things like that, and action and like dragons and magic and monsters, then this was a really good show. Very excited for more seasons, hopefully coming soon. So this is the astrology TV tag that I just kind of wanted to do to chat about some of the shows that I have really loved recently, and also some shows that I've watched in the past that I've enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Feel free to leave me a comment, like, and subscribe if you want more TV show related videos or more book related videos, as that's mostly the videos that I make. So I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!